Hey everyone. Before we even start, let me say Happy Easter to everybody out there. Uh, I hope everything is good in your world. Um, we're going to cover a couple different things today. The first one is this jig itself. This is going to be a football finesse jig, but we're using a new hook that I procured over the last week. And what we have in the vise is a 1/8 ounce football head with a 1/0 heavy wire Victory 10786 hook. This is a new brand, and this hook is the rival to the Mustad 32 786. My first impressions of it are really good. I like it. It's very strong. So far, just from what I've put it through, this is much sharper than the Mustad. The point on these hooks are legitimate, but what it looks like here and on the water are two different things. So I'm going to make some of these jigs up because right now this is the type of jig that'll work more this time of year. And I'm going to make some up and try to get them out next week on some rock flats and see how the point holds up, how they perform with fish, if I'm lucky enough to catch any. So that's one aspect. And the other aspect is the material we're going to use, which is going to be a lot of fine cut material. Different source, which is why I have a hard time answering a certain question that I get from a lot of people, which is, where's the best place to buy my material from? And it's very hard to answer because I get it from so many places, because it isn't just about price. You got to look at shipping. You got to look at color availability. And you got to look at, like, a lot of places, like Lord Parts Online, for example, has a lot of exclusive stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So um, you're not going to get it at Fishing Skirts. You're not going to get it at Barlow's. You're not going to get it at Jan's Net Craft. So you got to look around. That's the best answer I could give anybody. So now that I'm done yapping, let's get started here. The color is brown camo, and I have a little bit of black over the top because the pattern we're going to tie is what I like to call the B&B Special, which is just black and brown with a green pumpkin orange material. So we're going to start with some black 210 denier, flat wax nylon, as always, and get our little base started. And the first material we're going to use, and all this material came from the same place. I'll leave a link to it. But it came from Living Rubber Company. And this is fine cut silicone, often called frog's hair. This thin tab is the size of a regular tab. It has as many strands as a regular tab. There's 20 strands, but it's only half the thickness. Half the width, I should say, not thickness, but width. So I'm going to take one full tab of this, which is 20 strands, and we're going to put it on the back. Not quite dead center, but off to the side a little bit. And I'll show you why. Just make two little wraps, and then we fold it over. And now we got 40 strands, because this is going to be because the jig is so short and compact that we don't need all that extra. If we cut it in half, we're going to waste it. So now we have, this is our brown frog's hair tied in, and there's a little bit of black flake in this, and I'm going to flip this up, and we're going to take some black, And you see I cut it in half because we're only going to use 20 strands of this. So we already have 60 strands of material in here. But it's not going to look like that. It's not going to look real heavy because, again, this is frog's hair material. And it looked a little messed up when I tied it in there, and that's just because I have all these loose ones. I'm going to take a little clip, and I'm going to clip all this material down. So that way it's not in our way. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure the material's centered as best I can get it. And I'm going to pull down, make sure I get it nice and tight so we get some nice flare to this. Now here comes the special part. This is, it looks more like a watermelon to me, but it's watermelon orange or a green pumpkin and orange. It's definitely a Nature's Edge, like black print pattern, and there's some orange flake. This breaks up the black and blue and gives it a nice little accent. And what I do, there's 4 strands here. And this is regular size silicone. This isn't frog's hair. So I tie in 4 on that side. And I just fold it around. Just like you would with flash. And I tie in 4 on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just see if you can get it separated a little bit. And all the reason I put that in for, like I said, is an accent. It breaks up the color. And in dingier water, it shows up a good bit, believe it or not. I had a piece there that was out of whack. And now I'm just going to whip finish this. We're pretty much done. I just put a couple more wraps on the collar to make sure we're nice and secure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Trim it. We'll get our water-based head cement. And we are good. Then I'm going to cut everything loose. Take our clip off here. Just got to make sure I don't get it all tangled up. So now all I'm going to do is just take my big scissors here and cut these loops that I have from folding everything over. And when you're cutting like spider cut skirts, if you want to know like how much you should leave to get like the perfect size spider cut, my rule of thumb is bring your material together and cut it right at the top of the head. And you can't go wrong. That's always pretty good. That's like the quintessential spider cut. So, now that this part's done, I'm going to take my material here and I'm going to trim this off the bottom. And when I want about maybe a little over a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch past the hook point, or the hook bend rather. I apologize for that. Because we want this skirt to be a little shorter. And that's what it looks like so far, but we're not done yet. We're going to expose our little hole there, and we're going to put our FG12 weed guard in. Super glue gel. Wait till we feel that snap in. So far, so good. Now I'm going to show you how I trim my weed guard up. What I do is where this barb is, I push the weed guard down, and this area right here is what's going to get trimmed after I get that skirt material out of the way. That way I still have weed guard covering the point, but it's not all the way down to where it was. It's a little shorter. And we're still not done. We're going to add a trailer to this bad boy, so that way you could get a good context. Now I'm using a custom jig trailer for this. My buddy Art, thank you Art, he was gracious enough to send me this little chunk. It's 2 inches, and the claws and everything are perfect for this. Just a little bit heavy up here, so what I do, just like I do with the Zoom Tiny Chunks, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim just the meaty part off. Not a lot, just enough to thin it down some. And the reason I'm using the custom deal here is because Art told me he'd be willing to make chunks, or he makes other plastics too. He'd be willing to do it for other people. So one of the things with my channel is I don't like using things that not everybody can get. So this here is something that Art will make for you. 3-hand custom tackle. If you need his contact information, just let me know in the comment section and I'll be glad to get it to you. And all I do is thread this on. I come through that bottom pad, push it up on, and now you'll see the whole jig. That is our little B&B special. That is just a really good profile. Small, comes through cover really nice, even with that little FG12 weed guard. Of course, you're not fishing this in heavy cover, but it's great around rocks. You got any kind of rock flat, this thing will get them. And it's a heavy wire hook, so, 12-pound line easily. Well, there you have it. Once I figure out these victory hooks, I'll let you know how I like them. But there you have it. Everybody have a wonderful Easter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.